Next, we have linebacker Reid Carrico. Questions for Reid? I say your name right?
Yep.
Go ahead, Greg.
So Reid, just start with your adjustment here. I mean, you've been here since January. How have you adjusted? Not just scheme-wise, though that too, but also just the area, things like that.
Yeah, you come to Morgantown when you've been living in Columbus the last 3 years. There's a big difference there. Obviously, I mean, there's like 1.5 million people that live in the Columbus area, and then here, I don't know, but it's not that. So, but I'm from a small town. Like there was 10,000 people in my town back home, so it's kind of nice to go to a place where it's a little slower paced. I'm completely okay with that.
And now scheme for you, different from what you ran at Ohio State, and how are you adjusting to what you're running here?
Yeah, at Ohio State we ran a 4 down front with 2 linebackers, 2 true linebackers, and here, we're playing 3-4. Sometimes we're going, 3 linebackers and a boundary guy is a rusher, but I think I've adjusted pretty well to it. I love football, so I looked at it as an opportunity to learn more about football and learn more about defense, which is really what I love. So.
What exactly tipped you over the edge in terms of wanting to come here, transfer here?
Wanting to come here? I would say, there's more players here from my area that I had already known that had already been here for a couple years, like Wyatt Milam, Traylon Davis, Bryce Biggs, Doug Nestor, Grayson Malasevich, all of them. They were all from my general area. Ironton, Ohio, it's only about 20 minutes from Huntington area. And then, Traylon, he's from Jackson, Ohio. That's about 40 minutes up the road. So, when you got people that you already know, I was excited to play with guys that I'm familiar with.
And some guys who come in, they've never experienced West Virginia. I mean, you're literally right across the river from West Virginia. How much did that kind of just say, okay, well, I understand the environment, I understand the lay of the land, so it's gonna be easier for me to make the transition?
Yeah, no, it really wasn't a crazy transition at all. A lot of my family has roots here in West Virginia, just naturally from being so close to it. So, from that regard, it really wasn't a crazy adjustment.
I know you've had an injury, but how do you think you've played this year?
I think I played pretty good. I think it could always be better. I think there's always some plays, where you're like, daggone, man, if I could have done this, if I could have done that. But, thankfully we get up and go to practice the next day or the next week and get ready to play the next opponent. And then, is basically what this is all about, is not making the same mistake twice.
What do you think are the biggest things that you bring to this roster in just coming in January?
I'd say I'm a veteran. Like, this is year 4 for me. I think I bring good work ethic and good football IQ. Like I said, like, I'm a student of the game. I love football. I love learning football. So, I'd say that those are probably the top 3 things.
You're familiar with the West Virginia culture, but how about football-wise? You were at Ohio State, which is, rarefied air, so to speak, or kings of their own world. Culture-wise, West Virginia, Ohio State, how is football different in both places?
I'd say at Ohio State there's a little bit more glitz and glamour, obviously. This is more of a developmental type of program where you got guys that it might take them 1 or 2 years, where you're not getting these freak shows that are coming in and are ready to go right away physically. I'd say that that's probably the biggest difference. But as far as a culture standpoint and having a close team and team camaraderie, there hasn't been really any difference. And West Virginia, we have a close team like we did at Ohio State, and that was appealing to me, and that's why I'm here.
I will get Cincinnati choir for a lot of years.
Okay.
And covered Michigan a few times, things like that. And, just wondering, you sort of picked me into, is there any real comparison between the two rivalries?
I'd say that where they took a break, like where West Virginia wasn't playing Pitt, I think that it's getting back to like what it used to be, because it was definitely a hostile environment. Like, the most hostile environment that I'd ever been in was 2021 in Ann Arbor, and but I would say that this past year, up in Pittsburgh, like it definitely compared to that. It's a great rivalry, and I basically just traded off one big rival for another one. Now it's all about beating Pitt. So.
Talked about free shows at places like Ohio State, and when you were in high school at Ironton, I mean, you played Roger Bacon, Kirtland, teams that have these kind of guys. How much did that develop you as a player in high school going into Ohio State?
Yeah, you play against good competition, and in Ohio, man, there's so many divisions. There's 7 divisions in Ohio, and literally every kid wants to play college football in Ohio. I can't really say I can't speak for West Virginia or Kentucky. I'm always in that little area, but I know in Ohio it's like that. And I did play against great players like you said, Roger Bacon, their running back, Corey Kiner. He's playing at Cincinnati now. He's running back 1. Played against a lot of good competition. So.
What's been the biggest struggle for the inside linebackers in getting to correct landmarks on your drops and covering the underneath routes? Sometimes it's been good. Kansas State was able to hit some plays there and put together some first downs with that. What are the things that you and your teammates have to do to be successful and limit those?
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about just knowing your alignment, assignment, the situation. And, you look at, you got to be able to line up, get your cleats in the ground, and you see their formation. And then you got to know cold turkey, like what their scheme is coming out of this formation, these concepts that they like to run. And when you know those like the back of your hand, then, you'll start making those plays. And I think that, we study a lot of tape, but there isn't such thing as studying too much. And so I think that's the next step for us.
Tough to do that from week to week. Obviously, different teams are going to attack you
Sure.
from different angles, different routes.
Yeah. Like you said, Iowa State and Kansas State, they line it up and run the ball, and they might bring in 2 or 3 tight ends, and we're getting ready to go out here and play Arizona, and it's going to be a completely different, style of game on defense. I'm sure that they're going to line it up and run it too, but they have some good threats out of wide out. So like you said, it's going to be an adjustment.
Even though you're new to the program, you're a veteran, obviously, in college football. Did you say anything to the guys the last couple of weeks? Certainly after this past week game was kind of in a leadership mode, a lot of conversation about team meetings and things like that. And, what vibe can you kind of describe of your group?
Well, since I've been in college, like you said, I've been a part of some tough losses, and don't like to lose. I hate losing. I hate losing more than I like winning. But basically the only thing you can do is you got to own it. First off, you got to own the loss and the mistakes that were made, and then you got to look ahead, because if we go into Arizona and we are too focused on we're down in the dumps about what we did against Kansas State, then that's going to be a real problem for us. So we got to look ahead. Like, we got to get ready to play Arizona. Like, it's all about going 1-0 every single week, no matter who we're playing.
How do you own it? How does a team own it? That's something you hear so much, right? And just on the outside, it seems like it could be any number of avenues a player could take. How does a team, how does a player, a position coach, a room, I don't know, how do they own it?
Well, here's how you own it. You watch film. You understand what you did wrong on this play. If it was your mistake, you got to look at the film, make sure that you understand where you messed up, what you need to do better. And then when you go out the next day after the game, or the next practice after the game, when we go out and we do corrections, then you got to fix it. And then after it's fixed, you got to keep it fixed. Like I said earlier, like this is all about don't make the same mistake twice. And that is incredibly hard to do, but that's what you got to strive for. So that's how.
Topic, Ironton had an Olympian this past year,
Yeah.
right? Did you know her?
I did,
She
yeah.
about your age? So.
Sure did. So her Mackenzie Long. So her older brother, Jake Long, that played here. Yeah, he was an Ironton kid growing up. I think he moved away though, like his freshman year, I want to say. But it's funny you bring that up. Yeah, my brother and Mackenzie were the same age, but my brother, he's a couple years older than me. He played with Jake back in Pee Wee football. So I've known the family my whole life. So yeah.
Curious, you mentioned the things that you said were wrong that you have to fix. Are they the same things? Are they different things that are popping up? Is it just generally speaking? I'm not just talking about you, but just in totality.
Well, yeah, there are some things that we have maybe made a mistake on twice. Like I said, like it's so hard to play a perfect football game. There's no such thing as a perfect football game, but we are making new mistakes too. Probably more new mistakes than old mistakes, and that happens when you go in, you play a new opponent, you put new adjustments in, to fit the style of game, their scheme. So, I'd say that. I'd say about 95 of our mistakes are newer mistakes, ones that we haven't made before, and then the other 5 are old.
What do you think is the key to getting off the field defensively on those third downs and those fourth downs? Because at least the last couple of games, that's been kind of an issue. It's like the drives extend, because they've been able to convert those thirds and fourths. What do you feel is going to be the best way to correct that?
Well, a good start on defense is if come out on PN10 and you make a good play on the first down of the series, and then you kind of get them to where they're chasing the sticks. Then after that, they got to make a good play on second down to where they can get to third and manageable, or first down obviously. But once they get a first down off that first set of sticks, then momentum's playing in their favor a little bit. So if we can get more stops in the first set of chains, then that's going to do a lot of good for us. And and then aside from that, it's all about just finishing plays. It's so crazy in football. You can play. It can be an 8-second play, and you can do everything right for 7.5 seconds, but that half second is the part where something gets messed up, and everybody remembers that. So it's incredibly difficult, but yeah, that's what you got to do.
You've also been a major factor on special teams. Is that something you enjoy? Special teams. Some people look down their nose. They don't want to necessarily be part of that. What about you?
Well, yeah, I think that as a linebacker, you have to be able to play special teams. Like it's kind of non-negotiable, in my opinion. And in my last school, most of my opportunity came on special teams, so I don't shy away from that. That's kind of part of who I am as a football player. So any role that they have for me on special teams where it could help us win a game, then I'm willing to do it. So.
Okay, anything else for Reid? All right, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Nice to meet y'all.